A very warm welcome also from my side to that part of the audience which arrived in time. So we'll see later on how important it is to arrive in time. Somebody will arrive later on, and perhaps you have to catch up. That's life. Today, we will start with a deep dive in cyber-physical systems. No, it's better not to do so. It's perhaps a little bit early in the morning. Let's start with a discussion about change and volatility. I do not know what you expected when you started this morning to read the newspapers. But in the last time, if I open my newspaper, I have only one desire: not to read nothing about news scandals, scoops, or other disasters. It's very difficult, actually, to make business and to bring ahead your business in a stable way if you are living in a context in which each day there happens something else, or from the political side or in your market, which hinders you. So, living since 10 years in Italy now, I have a good experience. I passed all the years of the crisis, so I know how difficult it gets if the whole environment is not anymore stable. Up to now, the most stable part of the economy has been the industry. Here you have the production. You need a certain volume of production so you can go ahead normally in a smooth way. But even there are a lot of discussions what is changing in our industry, and everybody's talking now about the fourth industrial revolution. I'm not sure whether we can talk about a revolution. If you see this chart, you see that we normally have 100 years between one and the next generation of technology. In the meantime, we passed not even 50 years from the last revolution, so it would be a little bit early. Of course, I'm quite sure that what is behind the fourth industrial revolution, and here we are talking about Industry 4.0, or we are talking about digitalization, here the potential is really high, and it could be that this potential will be sufficient to start a new revolution. This revolution, of course, could have an impact on our business, and it could put at risk our companies. And I want to start with some other factors we should always keep in mind if we're talking actually about our business. And there are three areas where I see the main challenges for our companies. The first is the market entrance of somebody who has a new idea how to make your business. And if the customers are following these ideas, you are in big trouble. Amazon started 20 years ago to redefine the book business, an online platform, and it needed a little bit of time until they arrived. But they have been very early in this technological stage. Today, they have a business of 90 billion of US dollar. And to understand what is the dimension of this company, only in the United States, they offer more than 280 million of different products. It's impressive. The professional platform is Alibaba. They needed only 15 years in order to come to the biggest IPO we had in history. But there are also other businesses, like that one of Airbnb. They are bringing together travelers and hosts. And they needed only 6 years in order to become the world's important supporter for this type of business. So you see, on one hand, the time frames get shorter and shorter. And on the other side, we see that these changes are not happening in a part of the market. They are happening on a global basis. So even if you have a big business on a global basis and you could also accept to lose a part of your market, here you're not losing a part. Another tendency we see is that people try to digitalize their products and find new usage for their products in other markets. In Germany, for decades, we had two companies which have been very important for the offset printing, KBA and Heidelberg. And everybody was convinced that these companies will never be attached by another one because the competencies on the mechanical sector have been so strong that nobody else could enter into this market. At the beginning of the crisis, what happened? The volumes of the print media went down. And when these volumes went down, there was an opportunity for the digital printing. For the mass printing, the digital printing has never been the right solution. But in this period, there have been other suppliers which offer technology which was much cheaper. So today, K.P.A. and Heidelberg exist still, but both companies are looking for a new business outside of their core business. And you might imagine how difficult it is if you have to leave your core business. What happened with the digital photograph cameras, you know quite well. We lost 2/3 of the market for these products, and that's due to the fact that everybody today is using a smartphone. It's not for quality reasons. So if you make a comparison, the best smartphone is much worse than the worst digital camera. But they changed the behavior. And it's quite easy to understand if you try to make a selfie with a 2-kilogram reflex camera, it gets difficult. We are working heavily in a market which seems to be the most protected market, the automotive business. Why? Because you need a huge investment to enter. You need a huge experience to make engines and to make cars. So when the Chinese car producers entered the market, we saw how difficult it is to get into a market like the European one, but even the American one, which is very much developed, and they have not been able to attack the old companies. In the meantime, everybody is convinced that the automotive business is the most innovative one because we have there actually most of the new technologies. So it should be a protected market, but it is not the case. If we are looking on the right side, we see that there are very innovative companies like Google and Apple, and these companies try to enter into this market. It's a quite stupid strategy. This market is very protected, but there has been another one, Tesla, who already entered in this market, and Tesla had no experience of the cars, no experience of technology, but they had understood that in this moment where the electrical cars are coming up, there is a change of technology. And the most difficult technology we have in the cars are the engines. So if somebody has not to care about the engine, the rest of the car, more or less, you can buy on the market. So if you add an intelligent idea, it might happen. How Google and Apple want to make it, they will not follow the strategy of Tesla. Apple writes it under the logo. They think different. They will bring cars which are not similar and which are not comparable to the cars we know today. We do not know whether this will be a pleasure for the customer. There are some companies on the left side which are hoping that it will not function well. But I have some doubts because in the last years we saw a lot of changes in habits, and also the customer behavior is not so easily foreseeable. But our argument of today is what happens in industry. And in industry up to now, we concentrated very much on quality, innovation, customer orientation. And the last years, we feel a pressure which is coming up on two issues: efficiency and flexibility. So in the meantime, our optimization strategies have to be changed. We have to review all the value chains, the horizontal ones and the vertical ones. We see later on what this means. And we have to trust in the new technologies. We cannot leave them out because there will be others which will use these technologies. So we have at least to consider what is possible. When we talk about the vertical integration or optimization, what does it mean? It means that we have in the future to concentrate on our internal value chains in another way. Up to now, we tried to optimize areas. In the future, we have to optimize the whole total and the whole value chain. We have today a new technology, and these are the very small and very precise sensors which bring us up out of our factories from the basics, very detailed digital information. We get digital images in real time. So we understand in our systems very well what happens there. This is a platform with a huge mass of data. But this platform works only if we bring in also all the other data we have in the company. And we have to approach the optimization in a holistic way. The same is valid for the cooperation we have on the horizontal basis. We cannot limit our optimization on our companies. We have to involve also our suppliers and our customers. There are 3 targets to be fulfilled. I already talked about the issue of flexibility. During the crisis, we had an area which has been the mobile hydraulic business, which lives from customers which are producing, for example, special vehicles. These special vehicles are built in 10, 20, perhaps 50 pieces a year. So normally there has been always the battle between ourselves and the customers. What is the right lot size? We tried to increase it, they tried to lower it down. At the end, we found a compromise. During the crisis, these guys have not anymore had the opportunity to go into a discussion. They needed 1 or 2 pieces, not more. Stock has not been accepted, so the decision has to be taken, take it or leave it. In this time, we rethought our principles of production. In the meantime, we have for the valves of the mobile hydraulics, our production lines changed. These production lines are able to make up to 250 to 170 different types of waves with each lot size without losing efficiency. So even if the customer is asking only 1 piece, it doesn't matter. We can handle it on these lines without any efficiency loss. That's a strategy for that part of business. But we have to rethink all our business, what will be in the next time the request of our customer. Efficiency. Efficiency means that you have to reduce waste on time, the waste on energy, and the waste on material. Our company historically in Germany is known for spleen of our founder to reduce the energy consumption. So turn off the lights is the minimum request we have to everybody, and it's written everywhere. So our energy consumption historically is quite low. But we gave us a target some years ago that within 2020 we have to lower the energy consumption by 20%. We thought that this would be a good target, 2020, at least we will remember. This target has been reached after half the time we thought to need for that. So last year we reached the 20%. We have still 5-6 years to go ahead. So our expectation is that within this time frame we will have halved the energy consumption. We'll remember later on this figure. And there's a third activity we have to start immediately. When we think in new production lines, we should already think on the next product generation. We cannot hope anymore that we have amortized our investments before we have to change our lines. So this is something which in the past in our business has not been done. Here you did an investment and you for the next 6-8 years at least you will go on with the production. It will not go in this way. Horizontal integration today, what means it? It means that we are taking our products, we are adding the data, and we are sending in parallel data and products to our customers. That has been already a good step, a helpful step, but it's not anymore sufficient. What are we doing actually? Actually, we are bringing together our customers, ourselves, and our main suppliers, and we are agreeing on sharing all the data which is relevant for the optimization of the whole value chain. So our suppliers see exactly what happens in the production of our customers, whether he changes the product mix, whether he is going up or down with the volumes. They also see which is the stock situation in the whole value chain, and now it's up to them to take decisions. And here we start with the problem. All that what they can see within our customers is not a precise information. It's an indication. And the customer will not guarantee for their decisions they take, seeing what's happening with the customer's factory. So we have to learn what is a good signal and a trustful signal, and which are things we can see but we should not react on. In the beginning, we are trusting on our employees. They know quite well the relationships and they can also phone if needed. But we already saw the first signals we can really use because if the customer is changing the product mix in a certain type, he cannot go back. So this is for sure a certain movement we have to consider in our production plans. So this happens now in real time and helps us a lot. That is the horizontal way how to optimize. Vertical integration means that we have to concentrate on the holistic data. I already talked about this data volume which comes out of our productions. And here we are really talking about big data. And there's one principle you have to follow, and that's the principle of the one single source of truth. You have only one database, and everybody in the future should use this database. Today we have a totally different view on controlling, for example. Our controllers we use in order to take data already on a much higher level and to reduce these data furthermore. So our managers get some key figures and they have to live with these key figures. But not only the managers, also the other areas. And here we will have a profound change. We already saw in the factories where we introduced the big data approach that all these departments have to change their thinking. They have to be able to handle the big data. Otherwise, the system will not go on. So here we have a very profound change in our approach to data. Everybody has immediately available the data and has to know how to use real-time data. That's a very important issue, and we should work on that very carefully. Not all the issues we see actually are really new. When we talk to our employees about the changes, we had a lot of problems that the older people said, okay, let's wait still a while, then it will be done by the next generation. And we saw that there is a certain fear not to be able to handle all that what comes up. So we produced a video in order to show to our guys what happened already. We are not making now the first big step. It's another step in a long chain of steps already done. So what does it mean if we are talking about big data or the analysis of big data, data mining? I want to show it with some small example. Up to now, we worked with key indicators. If a machine had a problem, the lamp went on, and we had to call somebody who cares about. Now, in the factories where we have introduced our complete sensor system, we have another possibility. We can follow patterns. And we are concentrating only on the changes in these patterns. And that's a very useful tool, because if there is something particular, you not only have a signal where is the area where you should look on, but you have all the data before this event in order to understand what happened, why it happened, and if there is a critical situation, if this pattern can lead to a critical situation, you are able to deduct which will be in the future my measure I implement in the system in order to react immediately. When I see a pattern like that one, I know that there happened something else, and I have to react and to prevent from any critical situation in the plant. So we are working on patterns, and we are following patterns. This is something which helps a lot to increase quality. But there is another instrument which is even more useful, and that is the internal benchmarking. If you have more parallel production lines, and all the big companies are using parallel lines in order to be a little bit more sure that even in case of trouble, you will be able to produce, you can compare the patterns of the production lines, and you are able to understand immediately whether something is good or something is bad. So you can eliminate the bad patterns, understanding what happened before, and you can copy the good developments to the other lines. So you get not only a benchmarking, you get a benchmarking always on a higher level. Our problem is still another one, because we are obliged by our customers to make a local approach. It means that we have to follow them with our production lines in the different continents. And what we learn from that is the optimization process, the cycle times get much longer. You need up to a year. When you have an idea on one production line, you implement it and you see that it functions. And if you want to transfer it into another continent, you need a year. and you are never sure whether it has really implemented at 100%. With this approach, it happens in a diverse way, because you see immediately what you did, whether the patterns are changing. And if you saw what changed, you can give very precise informations to the other plants. So we have for each product, for each production line, one lead plant, and this lead plant has the task to make the tests, to check, and to transfer the information to the other plants. From day one, you see exactly in the real data, because we have at our disposal all the online data from all the plants worldwide. You see immediately whether the colleagues have been started to work on and what they did and which are the effects. So that's a very helpful tool. And you see here in the bar charts real-life data. In the past, we had the optimization cycles diluted in the time. We started in the lead plant, and then year after year we saw some effect in the other plants. In the meantime, the project starts in the lead plant, and we see after some months already the first results in the other plants, and we see these results in parallel. All these plants are following with the same velocity. And if something is not running well, we have not to ask the controller there and to hope that he will be able to give us the right answer, or whether he wants to give us the right answer. You see it immediately in the system. You need to see also exactly what happened and why certain issues didn't happen. So for our company, the Industry 4.0 concept is a twofold challenge. On one hand, we have a very big production area. We have more than 330 plants in more than 50 countries. So if we would fail on production, we would fail as a company. On the other side, a good part of our product portfolio is destined for Industry 4.0 approaches. So I told you about sensors, the MEMS. We started 10 years ago to sell the sensors we used up to now only for our own usage, also to the market. Today we are selling 4 million of sensors a day. So this is a business which increases in an incredible way. 10 years ago, your car has not one sensor. Today, the cars have at least 50 sensors, and this number will explode in the future. But if we have another look on the smartphones here in the room, I can guarantee you that at least half of these smartphones will have our sensors inside, at least. If you have the sensors in smartphones of a certain level, for sure they will use these sensors. So there are a lot of techniques we have, and if we do not interpret in the right way what will happen in Industry 4.0, these products will not be any more interesting for our customers. So we have a big risk out of Industry 4.0, and that's not the only risk which exists. Why Industry 4.0 might be very critical for a lot of companies? The development speed is very, very high. If somebody starts to work on and succeeds, within 1 year, he comes up with a cost level which is totally different from yours, or with a service level which is much better than yours. So it gets really difficult to catch up if you are out of this race. There's another issue. There is an American who said, what makes you strong in your actual business makes you weak in times of changes. Because your strength normally, you don't want to give up. But you have to give it up if you want to change the approach. So what we see here is the result of a study which has been done by the Global Center of Digital Business Transformation. And they try to understand which are the businesses which are put at risk more in the future. So I expected when I saw for the first time the result that we would have something in hospitality. We have, of course, Airbnb, or in retail, Amazon, all the online platforms. And it was not a pleasure to see that in the center of this study we have the technology, our sector. But it's logical why the sector is so much under pressure. This is a sector where we have a lot of changes actually. And these changes are opportunities for somebody else to go in. If a change offers a new perspective, somebody else could use it. So, which are the tasks we hatch out of this scheme, and which is our benefit out of that? If you compare our actual world, the low-cost markets, the high-cost markets, major world, the emerging countries. The difference is mainly spoken the cost for labor and the cost for energy. Industry 4.0, I told it now twice, has the target to be more efficient afterwards. More efficient means that we take out all the work which has a low value added. Work with low value added is normally low skilled work. So we will reduce continuously these working places. We need on the other side skilled work. Everybody knows that if you need a good engineer and you look for this engineer in an emerging market, you will pay more or less the same we are paying in our countries. Perhaps you will pay more. If you look on the energy costs, I told you before that we reached a reduction of 50% in more or less 10 years. That's huge. We don't have normally an advantage of 50% on the energy costs in the emerging countries. So, taking together, which will be the battle in the future, it will not be any more the battle between high cost and low cost. It will be the battle between high skilled and low skilled. What should we do? First of all, our strategy approach should be reviewed. It's not anymore more feasible that we meet our management team each 2 or 3 years in order to talk for 1 or 2 days about strategy. In these 2 days, I'm quite sure that the right ideas will not come up. You have to look continuously on your environment and you have to identify changes. You have not to look on the risks. You have to look on the opportunities. Why these changes should be opportunities only for the others. Might be also opportunities for your company. Skills. I don't know whether you in your organizations have a lot of controllers which already know to work with fuzzy data, know to use big data analysis. I have to be honest, we do not have these guys. We are building these guys internally now in certain centers, but it's not easy and it takes a lot of time. And you cannot wait until these guys will come from the market. Universities are working on that, but if you wait for 5 years, it could be a little bit late. And the third issue is, if you make now approaches how to improve your business, you have to make it on a holistic view. Industry 4.0 gives you the possibility to do it. You see anything in your company, and if you apply strategies, you will see also all the effects in your company if you follow the principle of one single source of truth. Okay, at the end, the question is, are we talking more about risk or more about opportunity? The answer is quite simple. If you are able to start immediately, and if you have the stuff in order to get your factories, really smart factories, then you will have a huge advantage, at least for the next 4 to 5 years. If instead you are not able to start, and if you wait too long, the risk is very high that you will find yourself in front of an overwhelming competition within the next 4 or 5 years. So, the only message you should take with you, the right moment to start to think about Industry 4.0 is now. Thank you very much.